Well, today's not a new guitar day, but yesterday was. And I picked up one of these Player Series Strats. I had that, the burst, sort of tobacco burst. There's a little bit more red than a real tobacco burst. But I had that Strat. That was just a regular American Standard one from, I think, about 20 years ago, 2000. And that one is back to my brother, its rightful owner. I got it from him about 10 years ago, something like that. So that one's back where it belongs, and it was a good excuse because I don't shop for Strats very often. I'm not a Strat guy, to be honest, but you got to have one, you know, let alone several. And these I think this Player Series, made in Mexico. I think these came out around 2018. I just got a new one. Ridiculously cheap, I think, that for what you get. These things are absurdly cheap. But at any rate, the thing that I didn't like, I used to have an old Mexican one of those classic series, Strat Classic or whatever they were calling it. I think maybe they still do those. But mine, that was a Mexican-made 50s. It was Daphne blue, gorgeous, I thought. And but the one thing I didn't like about it was the bridge, which was a very cheap, crummy kind of bridge, I thought. Granted, for what you pay for those guitars, you were getting a bargain because they're great. But that was my really only criticism of that, and plus it was because it was of the specs that it was. It had a really sticky, glossy neck. I'm generally not very fussy about that, to be honest. But if I had the choice, I'd go with this more satiny kind of finish. Although it's glossy on the front side of the fretboard on these Player Series, but then sort of satiny on the back. So you get the skunk stripe, you get the F. I mean, people care about this. You get the F on there. But the main thing for me was the bridge, and I'm pretty sure that's the bridge they're using on the regular American series, I think. So it goes back down to the two bolt thing. So I'm much impressed with that. Plus the actual controls are different. So now you get a tone just for the bridge pickup, which you didn't used to get. So it does have its own, so you can roll off for some of those sort of high-pitched kind of tones to roll off that high end, so it's not quite so painful. You know, there's little things. I think the height of the pickups is different on these, if you care about that stuff. But I just think that what you get for the money for this is ridiculous. But like just in the... I think for typical Stratty tones, this gets the you can get that kind of second position tone that the tone you hear from Clapton in the mid. I mean that is basically that and the neck pickup. For me, it's for my money. Those are the two tones that you buy a Strat for, and this one covers them pretty well. In fact, I'm hard pressed to really, apart from a slight feel of the curve of the neck, it's tough for me as more of a Gibson guy, to tell you the differences between this one and that American that 2000 American one. That one did have a high end bridge though. I give them credit for that on that the older Strat that I got rid of. Yeah, there are really no complaints about that Strat though. That was the best Strat I've ever played, let alone owned. And but dang man, for what you get, the Player Series is, geez. When I was 15 years old, man, I would dream of a guitar that's this good for this price. Even as I guess this is a first guitar. They're aiming this at your first electric guitar, but geez, I could gladly play this as the Strat that I keep for the rest of my life. This is fine. I got no complaints about this really at all. So I'm sure when COVID is truly over and the factories are up and running again, the cost of these will plummet when guitars are being churned out again in full force. But great guitar. I can't say enough about it. But I haven't really done much on it yet. But we're still getting to know each other. But I really like this thing. I looked around for I was actually looking for a Japanese one from the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, because I like those Japanese Fenders from then. So I was looking for some of those, and the thing about Strats is, and I'm guilty of it myself, they're just made to be modified, so people do. And you get, there's a zillion, and I have some, there's a zillion Frankenstein guitars out there, and Strats especially, and just made up for little bits and pieces of here and there and whatever. But so again, when you're shopping around for one, there's so many variations of a Strat to choose from. But I had my Rocky Strat, my George Harrison Strat. That's a made in Mexico Fender. I wasn't going to pay for a gimmick guitar. I wasn't going to pay for an American Fender. But the quality of this, I think that one was maybe 10 years old, the Rocky Strat. So that was one of those old MIM made in Mexico. I think they called that the Standard Series, not American Standard, but just Standard Series. And I think this Player Series replaces it. And I think I like this one as a playing guitar. I prefer it to the other one, the Rocky Strat. So this is more a day in, day out kind of player, I think. Great guitar, and I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for that. I know that's an acquired taste, the yellow. I don't know how much the camera's picking it up, but I love it, man. I love the Daphne Blue and those, you know, the Seashell Pink, I think is one other one. Seafoam Green, I always like those. And this one kind of has that kind of feel to it for me. So I like that. But I'm sure some of you don't. Anyway, this is the latest guitar, and I'm still getting to know it, but wow, I'm sure infatuated so far. Good luck.